Hello everyone. Today we are learning a poem, The Listeners. This poem is written by Walter de la Mare. Is there anybody there? Said the traveler, knocking on the moonlit door, and his horse in the silence champed the grasses of the forest ferny floor, and a bird flew up out of the turret above the traveler's head, and he smote upon the door again a second time. Is there anybody there? He said. The traveler arrives at a lonely house at night. The moonlight is shining and everything is quiet. He knocks at the door and asks, is there anybody there? His horse quietly eats the grass on the forest floor. A bird suddenly flies out of the tower, showing the place is silent and empty. The traveler knocks again, hoping someone will answer. But no one descended to the traveler. No head from the leaf-fringed sill leaned over and looked into his grey eyes, where he stood perplexed and still. No one comes to meet him, no face appears at the window. The traveller stands confused and still, wondering why no one is answering him. He waits, but nobody comes. He feels puzzled and doesn't know what is happening. But only a host of phantom listeners that dwelt in the lone house then stood listening in the quiet of the moonlight to that voice from the world of men, stood thronging the faint moonbeams on the dark stair that goes down to the empty hall, hearkening in an air stirred and shaken by the lonely traveller's call. Inside the house there are phantom listeners, ghostly figures. They live in the empty house and listen silently to the traveller's voice. They stand in the moonlight on the stairs that led down the hall. The air inside the house seems to move slightly because of the traveller's call. And he felt in his heart their strangeness, their stillness, answering his cry, while his horse moved, cropping the dark turf 'neath the starred and leafy sky. For he suddenly smote on the door even louder and lifted his head. Tell them I came and no one answered, that I kept my word, he said. The traveler feels that something strange is happening. He senses the ghost silence. His horse continues eating grass under the starry sky. Suddenly, the traveler hits the door loudly and says, tell them I came, no one answered, I kept my promise. Never the least stir made the listeners, though every word he spake fell echoing through the shadowiness of the still house. From the one man left awake, aye, they heard his foot upon the stirrup, and the sound of iron on stone, and how the silence surged softly backward when the plunging hoofs were gone. The poet says that the ghostly listeners do not move at all. His words echo through the quiet house. They hear him climb onto his horse and hear the sound of metal touching stone. Then they hear the silence return as the traveler rides away. A traveler arrives at a lonely, quiet house in the forest. He knocks on the door again and again, but no one answers. Even though the house is silent, he feels that someone is inside listening to him. He calls out, saying he had promised to come and wants the people inside to know that he has kept his word, but still no one opens the door. The traveler's horse waits nervously, sensing the strange atmosphere. The traveler finally gives his message, then rides away into the darkness. Inside the house, the mysterious listeners, ghostly silent beings, hear everything he said, but they never speak or show themselves. A traveler arrives at a lonely house in a forest at night. He knocks and calls out, but no human answers. Phantom listeners inside the house silently hear him. He says he kept his promise and came back. No one opens the door, so he leaves. The listeners remain silent and mysterious. The poem ends with unanswered question creating suspense. Does the setting belong to the modern times? How can you tell? No, the setting does not belong to modern times. We can tell because the traveler arrives on horseback. The house is old and lonely, and there is no sign of modern technology. The atmosphere feels ancient and mysterious, suggesting an earlier historical period. Character sketch of the traveler. The traveler in the poem is a sincere and determined man who keeps his promises. He arrives alone at a lonely house in the forest at night, showing courage. His repeated knocking and calling reveal his hope and urgency. When no one answers, he feels disappointed but still leaves a message, proving his honesty and respect. The mysterious connection he has with the house and its unseen listeners make him a symbolic figure, representing loyalty, loneliness, and the human desire to be heard. Figures of speech, alliteration. The repetition of consonant sounds to create rhythm. Forest ferny floor, F is repeated. Personification means human-like qualities given to an object. Here the house seems alive. The words like silent and listening are used in the poem. Imagery. The poet creates strong pictures of the forest, moonlight, silence, and the lonely house. Onomatopoeia. These are sound words used in the poem like knocking, hoofing. Thank you, everyone.